I'm going to begin, Jessica, just by saying, I felt that the script had a real kind of Aaron Sorkin kind of quality to it, that kind of really fast-paced dialogue. It must have been for such a great read when you first got the screenplay.
Oh, yes. When I first got the screenplay, I was really impressed that I was leaning forward as I was reading it. Many times reading a script, I kind of feel like, okay, I know what's going to happen. This person's going to do this. Or I'm sure you get that a lot by seeing a lot of films. You anticipate the ending. And this one, I couldn't understand where she was going. And I liked that about her. And I'm a huge fan of Aaron Sorkin. And Johnny Pereira, who's our screenwriter, is definitely an up-and-coming Aaron Sorkin-esque writer.
Because I was reading that John came to you personally with the screenplay. It must have been a nice incentive to know that you're always that kind of first choice. But at the same time, does that add a kind of extra element of pressure?
I always have pressure, but it's more than pressure for anyone else. It's just pressure myself, because I try to play characters that are different than what I've done before. And when you do that, you're kind of like, well, don't know if I'll do it. I could fail grandly and hugely, but it's fine, because actually when you fail, you learn more. So sometimes it's really good to fail. But I never felt pressure because of John. He's the most incredible, loving, generous director.
And it must be quite nice as well not worrying about an accent with this movie, because you've had to do a couple of accents recently. It might be just nicer when you're kind of on set, not having that kind of burden of having to not be able to speak in your own voice.
Actually, do you know, and you probably maybe don't know this, but in Miss Sloane, I lowered my voice a little bit. So I think every character that I play, I do something to change the voice. I'm very passionate about the look of a character, the sound of the character, the energy of the character, where it lives in their body. In college, we worked on that a lot, and so for me, I think I'll always do things to change my voice up.
Maybe it's just because I'm British, but I just can't get my head around the gun laws in America. It seems crazy. It's 2017. You can just buy a gun. I mean, it's kind of strange, isn't it, if you sort of stop to think about it?
What I think is strange is the American political system. I mean, there is so much division and regulation and red tape. Just like common sense laws are really hard in fighting. And so, yeah, I find it ridiculous that someone could go into a gun show and buy a weapon without an ID.
And do you think this film, from a kind of viewer's perspective, changes now Trump is in power, as opposed to, say, had you watched this a year ago?
I don't know. Perhaps if it had come out a year ago, it definitely has changed in perspective, because it's also a movie about a woman in politics. And we've just spent a year watching the most horrific campaign where a woman was attacked over and over again. And there was so much. Women played such a large part of the U.S. elections in terms of what the current president has said about sexually assaulting women, and how his opponent was treated by the media. I think it's a really interesting film for this day and age.
Just having a look at your IMDb to see what's coming up next, and you're really busy, it seems. You've got so much coming up. I thought I'd just have to choose one film to speak about, so I'm going to go down the Aaron Sorkin route again. Molly's Game. Yeah. So he's directing for the first time. What was it like to work with him in that capacity? That must be quite interesting.
He didn't feel like a first-time filmmaker, because, I mean, Aaron Sorkin he's not a newbie. He's got some experience in the industry, and he's a filmmaker. That's what I said to him in the very beginning. I said, it doesn't feel like you're a first-time director, because you're a filmmaker. And I think he's always been very involved in the films that he's written and on set. And so there was nothing kind of surprising or new to him on Molly's Game. But I'm excited for you guys to see it, because it's a different character and it really is a social commentary.
Hopefully I'll get a poster quote for that one up as well. But just very quickly, I mean, just obviously when you are have got this many projects kind of coming up, do you think because Elizabeth Sloane, she's just so determined. She kind of never gives up. She just keeps going. That's kind of part of her personality. Do you think characters sometimes rub off on you in your real life? Have you adopted any of her kind of personality traits and taken it into your own kind of career?
Ooh, have I adopted any? I haven't adopted anything from Elizabeth Sloane, because she gives away too much of herself for her career. I mean, she's someone, it's not about becoming better. She's someone that it's an addiction to her. She's using winning cases as like filling an emptiness inside of herself, and the bigger the win, the bigger the high for her. So I haven't really taken anything away from her, except maybe to not ever let that happen, to always make sure that my family and my personal life is actually more important than my professional life. So she's an example of what I don't want to happen.
Brilliant. Well, thanks so much for your time today. Much appreciated.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Hey You Guys!
Hey You Guys, huh?
Hey, you guys.
Is that from the Goonies?
It is indeed, yes.
Nice.
Hey,